My ex-wife married the guy she cheated with, and when they hyphenated their names, they legally became my exact name. Now it feels like they stole my identity. You ever have one of those moments where reality feels so absurd, so twisted, that you almost expect a camera crew to jump out and yell that you're on some hidden prank show? That's how I felt the day I realized my ex-wife and her new husband had legally turned themselves into me. Not symbolically, not in some weird metaphorical sense, but literally. They created a married surname that is my exact full legal name, and now everywhere they go, every post they make, every introduction at a dinner party, they're walking around as me. And my name is not common. It's not John Smith or Michael Brown or anything that you could dismiss as coincidence. It's unique enough that people who see it instantly think of me, which makes what they did not just weird but invasive. But to understand how insane this really is, you need the whole backstory. I met Emily in my 20s when I was in Boston finishing my master's degree. I was the cliché struggling student, living on ramen, overdosing on cheap coffee, spending late nights in the library until my eyes stung. She was working in marketing downtown. She had that kind of presence that draws people in instantly. She was funny, sharp, charismatic, the type who laughed loudly and made you feel like you were the most interesting person in the room. I fell hard. We dated, fell in love, moved in together, built a little life with mismatched furniture, shared grocery lists, and weekend trips to the coast. Eventually, marriage felt inevitable, and we tied the knot in the spring. It was a simple wedding at a lodge in New Hampshire. Family, close friends, vows, too much champagne. It felt permanent. Among the guests that day was one of my closest friends, John David. John and I had known each other since college. We bonded over basketball games, barbecues, late-night beers. He was like a brother to me. He toasted me at my wedding, clapped me on the back, told me how happy he was for me, and I believed him. For a while, life was good. Emily and I built routines, argued about paint colors, did grocery runs together. It felt like the kind of life you were supposed to be building in your late 20s. Then things shifted. Emily became distant. She guarded her phone like a secret vault. She started staying late at work. She smiled less with me, but smiled more at her screen. I wanted to believe it was stress or deadlines, the ebb and flow of married life. But deep down, I knew something was off. And then one night, proof fell into my lap. She forgot to log out of her messages on our shared laptop. I wasn't snooping. I opened it, and there they were. A string of flirty messages, intimate confessions, and, eventually, explicit photos from John, my best friend. At first, my brain refused to process it, but the truth was right there in black and white. When I confronted her, the script was predictable. Denial, then tears, then finally, the confession. Yes, they'd been having an affair. Yes, it had been going on for months. I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. My wife, my best friend, the two people I trusted most had been cutting me open behind my back. I filed for divorce. What else could I do? The process was brutal. Sleepless nights, endless paperwork, bitter exchanges. But eventually, it was over. She was gone. Except she wasn't. Because Emily decided to keep my last name, Carter. Now I know that's not unusual. Plenty of divorced women do it. Sometimes because of kids, sometimes for career, sometimes for convenience. But we had no kids. She could have gone back to her maiden name. She didn't. It felt wrong, but I told myself not to care. I convinced myself it was just a name. I had no idea how much that decision would come back to haunt me. Fast forward a couple of years. Word got around that Emily was remarrying. And not just anyone. She was marrying John. At that point, I was mostly numb. I thought, fine, let them have each other. They deserve each other. They're two halves of the same rotten coin. I figured that was the end of it. But then came the twist. John's last name was David. So when they got married, they decided to hyphenate. Very modern, very progressive, very let's combine our identities. And the result was David Carter, which just so happens to be my exact legal name. David Carter. My ex-wife and her affair partner legally became me. I didn't even find out directly. A mutual acquaintance sent me a screenshot with the message, "What the hell is wrong with them?" I opened it and there they were. Wedding photo, champagne, glasses raised, huge smiles, and the caption, "Introducing Mr. and Mrs. David Carter." I stared at that photo like my phone had just told me the earth was flat. My brain couldn't process it. At first I thought it had to be fake, a typo, a parody account, something. But no, it was real. And then the fallout began. Friends started, texting congratulations. Coworkers asked why my ex-wife was still using my name. One time I even got an email intended for them, signed the David Carters. I had to keep explaining, over and over, that it wasn't me. That my ex-wife and her husband had legally turned themselves into my name. My emotions went in circles. At first I laughed, the kind of laughter that comes when something is so absurd that your brain just short circuits. Then came the rage. The thought that my name, my identity had been hijacked made my fists clench and my blood pressure spike. Then disbelief again. Then numbness. It felt like someone had walked into my home, sat on my couch, and said it was theirs now. Like they had taken my skin and decided to wear it. And I couldn't stop asking myself, was it on purpose? Did they sit in that courthouse filling out the paperwork and realize what they were doing? Did they smirk? Did they high-five? Did they think, what better way to erase him than to become him? If so, that's psychological warfare. That's next-level spite. And if they didn't realize it? If they were so self-absorbed and clueless that they didn't even notice? That might actually be worse. This isn't just funny. It has real-world consequences. My name is unique, and now there are two of me floating around in the same social and professional circles. Imagine applying for a mortgage and having to prove you're this David Carter, not that David Carter. Imagine walking into a party and having someone congratulate you on your marriage because they saw your name on Facebook. It's confusing, it's exhausting, and it's infuriating. Sometimes I daydream about taking it to court, standing in front of a judge and saying, "Your Honor, I'd like to report a theft. They've stolen me." Can you imagine the judge's face? The jury trying not to laugh? It sounds absurd, but it's my reality. At the end of the day, maybe there's nothing I can do. Maybe I just laugh it off, file it under life's absurdities, and keep clarifying to people that no, that's not me. But every time I see another screenshot, another post, another invitation with the David Carters printed on it, the same thought loops in my head. My ex-wife and her new husband legally turned themselves into me. And I can't decide what's crazier, that they did it, or that I'm the one left questioning my sanity. So I'll leave it to you, strangers on the internet. Am I losing my mind? Or is this one of the most messed up stories you've ever heard? After the initial shock wore off, life didn't just snap back to normal. If anything, the weirdness only grew. Every time I thought I'd processed the absurdity of the situation, something else happened that dragged me right back into the madness. It was like living in a funhouse mirror version of my own life, where my name, my identity, was walking around on someone else's shoulders while I stood on the sidelines watching. Friends kept sending me screenshots of their posts. I wasn't following them, I didn't want to, but people couldn't resist sending me proof, as if I needed constant reminders that my ex-wife and her husband were out there smiling under a name that was mine. The captions were always so proud, like "Date night for the David Carters," or "New house, love from the David Carters." And every time I saw it, my chest tightened. My name attached to their faces. My name, living their life. At work. It got weirder. A colleague of mine congratulated me one morning. He'd seen something online, assumed it was me. "Didn't know you got remarried, man. Congrats." I had to awkwardly explain, "No, that's not me. That's my ex-wife. She married my former best friend, and yes, they legally turned themselves into my name." He just stared at me like I was insane, like I was spinning some wild conspiracy. And that's the thing. It sounds made up. It sounds too ridiculous to be real. But it is real. And the more I explained, the more unhinged I probably sounded. Imagine trying to tell someone that two people you cut out of your life years ago are now walking around as you. It didn't stop there. One night I was scrolling through Instagram and someone had tagged me by mistake. They had meant to tag the David Carters, but because my name was exactly that, I got pulled into the notification. It was a photo of Emily and John at some wine tasting event, holding glasses of rosé, smiling like they were on a magazine cover, and the tag, my name, sitting right above their faces. My stomach dropped. It felt like I was watching imposters live my life, like some cruel parallel universe had leaked into mine. I started worrying about practical things too. What if their bills, debts, or taxes ever got tangled with mine? What if a background check confused us? What if a cop pulled up the wrong name in a system and assumed I was someone I wasn't? My mind spun through worst-case scenarios. Suddenly, my own name didn't feel safe anymore. It didn't feel like mine. It felt like something. Stolen, twisted, duplicated. Family didn't know how to react either. My sister called me after she saw one of their posts through a mutual friend. Her first words were, "What the hell is wrong with them?" She laughed, but then her tone shifted and she asked if I was okay. I told her I was fine, but the truth was, I wasn't. How do you even explain that level of violation? It's not like they broke into my house or stole money. They stole something stranger, something harder to defend. They stole my identity, my very name, the label that everything in my life is built around. I even found myself daydreaming about what it would look like if I did take it to court. I imagined sitting in front of a judge, laying out the story. "Your Honor, I'd like to file a complaint. My ex-wife and her new husband hyphenated their names into mine." The judge would squint, flip through the paperwork, probably try not to laugh. The lawyer on their side would shrug and say, "There's no law against it." And maybe there isn't. Maybe they're allowed to parade around in my skin like this. But the absurdity of the scene played over and over in my head like some surreal comedy sketch. Nights became the worst. I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying it all. How I met Emily, how John had toasted at my wedding, how the betrayal blindsided me, and now this final insult, becoming me. It was like they weren't satisfied with just taking the relationship. They had to take everything, even down to my name. And my mind wouldn't stop spinning. Was it deliberate? Was it a long game of cruelty? Did they sit in that office, signing the paperwork, and think, this will really get him? Or were they so wrapped up in themselves that they didn't even notice? That's almost scarier. The idea that two adults could be so self-absorbed, so detached from reality, that they failed to see the insanity of what they were doing. The paranoia set in slowly. Every time my phone buzzed, I half expected another screenshot. Every time I met someone new, I wondered if they'd seen my name online and assumed things about me that weren't true. I even Googled my own name once and found them. Their wedding registry, their posts, their smiling faces under the name that should have been only mine. I sat there staring at the screen, half horrified, half fascinated. It was like watching strangers wear a mask of me. I thought maybe over time it would fade, that the sting would dull, that people would stop confusing us, that I'd stop caring. But every time I thought I was over it, something would drag me back in. A friend sending, another screenshot, someone tagging me by mistake, a random acquaintance asking about my marriage. It kept looping, reminding me again and again that no matter what I did, they had taken my name, and there was nothing I could do about it. Sometimes, late at night, I'd catch myself laughing at the sheer absurdity of it, the kind of laughter that borders on hysteria. Because what else can you do? Cry forever? No, you laugh at how ridiculous life can be. That two people could implode your marriage, shatter your trust, and then go so far as to legally become you. It sounds like bad fiction, and yet it's my reality. And still, the same thought keeps circling in my head, relentless, like a drumbeat. I can't silence. My ex-wife and her new husband legally turned themselves into me, and no matter how many times I say it, no matter how long I live with it, I still can't decide what's crazier. That they did it, or that I'm the one left feeling like I've lost my mind.